The precursor to creating a good user experience is to recognize that every product has a user experience, even if you don't specifically work on it. It's there, like gravity. Ignoring it doesn't mean it won't affect you. Once you accept that, the real question becomes, is the existing user experience good, bad, mediocre? Easy enough to ask the question, but it can be hard to answer because of the idea of experience being a bit broad and abstract. It's helpful to break the idea of experience down into sub-elements that can be considered individually. There's no universally accepted way to break down user experience into individual facets, but I do like Peter Morville's user experience honeycomb. It describes 6 characteristics of a product with a good user experience. A product with a good user experience will be useful, as in the product actually fulfills a user need. It's not just cool technology. It's not a solution in search of a problem. It solves a real problem. Perhaps it helps a person do something they couldn't previously do, or makes a difficult task easier. Moreover, the product offers the right amount of features. Too few features may prove to be inadequate, while too many features can become confusing and cumbersome. Usable. Can users actually utilize the usefulness of your product? Regardless of how wonderful the features may be, if the user cannot figure out how to use them, they provide no value. Usability is impacted by many factors, such as the clarity and consistency of information presented and how errors are handled. A usable product feels frictionless and helpful. Conversely, a product with poor usability feels like it's fighting you. Desirable. Does the user want to use the product? If the user was presented with a number of feature equivalent products, would they still prefer your product? This isn't just a question of how well it was marketed. Does the product design have an appealing, pleasing, and appropriate aesthetic for its context of use? Does it offer a good value for the price? Does it play nice with other products in its ecosystem? Findable. When users are looking for something, can they find it? This reflects how well the information and interfaces are organized. In the product itself, this overlaps with usability, but findability is a factor that extends outside the product to include the product website, customer support, online marketplaces, email communication, and so on. Consider the pain of finding a product serial number. Accessible. Will users with disabilities be able to access the content and features of your product? According to the CDC, 26% of adults in the United States have some kind of disability. This includes, but is not limited to, issues with mobility, cognition, vision, and hearing. To exclude these users is to exclude a quarter of your potential users in the US alone. Not only is that bad business sense, it's also discriminatory. You need to make your product accessible. And finally, credible. The product needs to appear trustworthy. Users should never have a reason to pause and ask themselves if it would be unwise to engage with your product. Of course, any obvious red flags would erode credibility, but the smaller issues add up. Inconsistencies, errors, typos, or really anything that demonstrates carelessness and poor quality control. Don't give users a reason to mistrust your offering. Now, although there's no one-size-fits-all formula for delivering a superior user experience, these 6 facets are a solid starting point.